Will we need vaccine cards as proof or passports of sorts? And if so, what are the ethics surrounding all of that? It's a complicated issue, and there are a lot of different opinions about how it's going to break down. Let's bring in Kerry Bowman. He's a bioethicist at the University of Toronto. Kerry, good to see you again.
You too, Todd.
I really wanted to get you on the show because this is something that's, very complex. People have very strong opinions on it, and we're about to jump right in, or how it's going to work, or what people are going to be comfortable with, what sort of obligations we're going to have, and how much of this sort of thing is going to be mandatory or not. First of all, how are you kind of framing it?
Well, when you say, it's imminent, it really, really is. I mean, this could be on top of us within, weeks to months. I think probably more like a month or so, because, vaccinations are now rolling out and the supply has begun to move forward. So the tension, Todd, and I think you and the viewers would appreciate this, is the last thing you want to do is create another tier of haves and have-nots in relation to who can do what and who can't do what. Having said that, some form of vaccination passport is almost inevitable. With travel, it's virtually a given. And you look at countries like Israel's now introducing the green card. And all this is going on the assumption that people that have been vaccinated are not going to be able to spread the virus as easily, meaning they can't transmit it. And it's kind of looking like, my read on the science is it's looking like that is the case with most of the vaccines. So that would be the question. Now, some people will say we absolutely can't do it. Like, it's just not fair in a democratic society because there's people that don't want vaccines, and there's people that can't have vaccines. But here's the other side of the argument. Is it really fair to the Canadians that have been locked down for a year when they are vaccinated? They're no longer a risk to other people. Is it really fair to continue to limit their freedom? So you've kind of got those two sides of it colliding. Now, I think travel is for sure, and I think sort of public venues, sports, restaurants, I think market forces will pick up on this unless it's made illegal very quickly. Here's the question. Will our government, will they take a position, or are they going to sit back and just wait to see how this one unfolds?
Yeah, it's a good point. And we know in the case of Israel, there is pressure now on the Israeli government to actually pass laws, Kerry, to give, some guidance to companies and lots of different players in terms of how they should handle this. You mentioned international travel. So let's start with that if we can. If somebody wants to travel internationally, they're going to have a passport. And if they don't want to get vaccinated, they're not going to be allowed to travel internationally. Is that how you see it playing out?
Yeah, but that's nothing incredibly new. I work in parts of the world where you cannot get into a lot of countries without those yellow cards, if people are familiar with those. That goes back to 1933, actually. So they've been around for a while. That's definitely going to happen. My take on this is the Americans will very quickly say, in the months ahead, that if you want to enter the United States, you're going to need to be vaccinated. So that's definitely coming. If sports venues, those types of things, that probably will be next. Now, should our government get involved? The good news with Canada is we focus so much on inequities within our system, and our vaccines are free. And I'm not saying our system is perfect. It's not, but we're working on it. Vaccines are free, and we are, trying to reach out to the most vulnerable people. So if everyone has equal access, it will make the ethical questions a lot easier. But there's going to be a period of time in the months ahead where lots of people who want it haven't had it yet, and lots of people will have had it. That's going to be the tough stuff.
Okay, now what about jobs? Because that's the other thing, too, that, some people are concerned about. If let's say, they're not interested, whether they will be, quote, forced to get the vaccine by their employer. And again, these are stories coming out of places like Israel that are, vaccinating 80% of their people.
Yeah.
They're way ahead of Canada. But you've got situations there where there are some teachers, some nurses, for example, who are not interested in being vaccinated. And, some in Israel, politicians are saying, well, I'm sorry, you're a teacher and you're a nurse. You need to be vaccinated. And if you don't want to be vaccinated, you need to find a new line of work.
Yeah. Mandatory vaccines, and look, you'd need to talk to a lawyer on this one, but mandatory vaccines, from an ethical point of view, are very unlikely, even in the workplace in Canada. There could be exceptions to that in high-risk healthcare areas. That would be a different story. But, as you open up office buildings, my understanding is mandatory vaccines would be unlikely. The majority of people will probably want to be vaccinated. That's what it's looking like at this point. But, I'm sure our government is watching this very closely, because if they can step back from it and just let it sort itself out, that would be great. But I'm not sure they can.
Kerry Bowman joining us. We'll have a lot more conversations in the weeks ahead. And Kerry, as more and more people get vaccinated, lots of different stories are going to pop up.
We'll be seeing, yeah,
over, vaccine hesitation and mandatory vaccinations, depending. We'll see. In the meantime, thank you.
You're welcome, Todd. See you.